Welcome to another show of The Restoration Place, and I'm your host, Lady B, and I'm excited about today's show. I'm excited about today's guest. You are in for a treat. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, get you a notepad, get you a pen, and get ready to be fed by our guest. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. So I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and what your journey is all about.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Erica, and I am a life coach. And my niche is helping people find their self worth and getting that self love back into yourself, and basically living that fulfilled life. But it takes that loving yourself, really recognizing who you are, and then being able to figure out what it is that you do need to have that fulfillment and that purpose that we all are looking for.
Now, tell me, how did you get on this journey? Because I know it's not something for, in my experience, in order for you to be on this journey or in this niche, life coaching, it has to be personal in order for you to be really a success at it.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth is ever since I could remember, I felt like I didn't fit in or I was a little advanced than my peers. And I mean that in the sense of like just being more enlightened on certain subjects and just knowing a little bit more mature things. So I felt like he's always been calling me to this job. I just didn't know what it was. I knew I needed to help. I knew I needed to help people in some way. I just didn't know what that looked like. But after living my life and trying to be better and be a better human for my son, I fell into this and love it. And that's why I'm here.
Children have a way of bringing out your ministry, do they not?
Yeah. Yeah. Your whole life flips upside down. Perspectives change, everything, things that you thought matter don't matter anymore. And just being a better person because now you have that responsibility to show this person what a healthy person looks like. And if you're not there, you can't really teach or show that to someone else.
And, getting to a place of, I think it's very mature when you can look in the mirror and say, you know what, I have some areas that I need to work on. And being able to call those things out and then work on them. Because a lot of times what happens is people walk around with this low self-esteem or not knowing who they are because they don't want to deal with the issues on the inside. And so what they do is project. They project a lot. What gets to me is when I hear, and I used to do it too. I don't know. It's just something about them I don't like. It's something about them. I'm like, it's not spiritual. It's crazy. What is it? What is it about them that you don't like? I need to know. How does it make you feel on the inside when they come around? What is it? A lot of times it's the energy, and I'm like, no, it might be your energy, baby. Because
yeah, no, seriously. But a lot of times I think it's just the lack of awareness. I don't think people get it. I think people just see life as very simple as just what's in front of them versus what's actually really going on. And there's so much more spiritually, everything. And the more aware you are, the more you will be in tune to see it and be able to get those messages and deliver them.
What are some important lessons that you've had to learn once you came into the awareness of being, you have to be healthy in order to exhibit the correct behaviors for your child? You have a son?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, my lesson was to love every part of me, the flaws and all, whatever that looks like. I am who I am because of life, my DNA and everything, and just embrace it. I don't want to be like anybody else. I don't want to change it. Are there some avenues or areas that I can improve on? Absolutely. But who I am to the core, I love that person. And when you actually genuinely love that, it shows up. You don't even, it's not like you have to think, oh, I'm confident. It's almost as if it's an outfit that's just put on. I'm here. It is what it is. You like it or you don't. I don't care. I am who I
am. And that's good, especially for raising a young man in today's society. It's really, really good because you have a lot of men that I always say, a lot of men are very superficial.
Yeah.
You hear we look with the eye, we have to be attractive. And I understand that, I want to be able to be with someone that I'm attracted to, but I don't want to be attracted to you and then I don't like your mind. I don't like the way that you move,
Your
your
soul.
value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so things like that bothers me in this society that we're living in. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, before it's all over with, I say everybody's going to begin to look alike. I say everybody's going to have the small waist and the big behind, the big hips, and look like these women, these models or video people.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what happens when you get to the nitty gritty of a person and now you're married and you don't like each other? Why? Because you never
Mm-hmm.
to really get to know who this
The
person
person.
is. They
Yeah.
look good to the eye, but they're not satisfying to your soul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
And it's very unfortunate, but that's the society we live in, especially with social media and everything being at fingertips.
mhm,
You have so many more things to compare yourself to, and when you have that lack of love for yourself, you're going to gravitate to something that looks good to you.
mhm, mhm. And I've been seeing a lot of and having a lot of conversations with different people. I just had one today at the hairdressers, and we were talking about what it looks like to people, what does success look like to people nowadays, and especially being Christians. It's like, oh my gosh, people say, well, it's evidence in the fruit, and I'm like, people don't understand the fruit that the Bible's talking about. It's not money, it's not material things. He's never talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He's rarely ever talks about material possessions. He's
Mm-hmm.
always talking about
Mm-hmm.
your character, your integrity. He
Mm-hmm.
talks about, are you making disciples? Are you remaining in him and things of that nature? That just says, are you at peace with yourself?
Right.
You
Peace of
know,
mind.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
this peace that I have, the world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. But so many people don't realize that they get peace today and the world snatches it away tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as you said, the comparison um, game, or the comparison that when you get on the social media and you see people posting these pictures and you automatically assume that their
Yep.
life is absolutely just grand, when in reality
Mm-hmm.
it's a moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
I have
And
moments.
majority of the time they're very unhappy people because they're, like you said, they're looking for that happiness or that peace of mind in a materialistic thing, which is, that's not where it's at. That's
Mhm,
not it.
mhm,
It's that finding peace and finding your purpose. I love what I do. I don't go to work anymore. That's done for me. I
mhm,
go and help people feel better. That's what I do day to day. Is it work? Do I have to be there in a scheduled time? Absolutely. But when I hang up, I feel like I haven't done anything but something joyous or something fulfilling for my soul.
mhm,
And that is, nothing could buy that.
mhm.
Nothing.
Right, because when you're in, and I always describe it as when women get to the place of knowing their purpose in life. That's really the will of God, the perfect will of God. And when you're in the
Yeah.
perfect will of God, you might face different things, but it's not like being out of the will of God or in His
Mm-hmm.
will, because there's struggle. There is, am I doing the right thing? I
Yeah.
don't know.
All the time.
All this
Yeah.
doubting and questioning, and it's like, if you sit down and discover what you were created to do
Mm-hmm.
and love it,
Mm-hmm.
learn to love it. I don't care if it's just handing out, the people at Walmart, greeters. That's who they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing but to greet people.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
bringing joy to somebody else's?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's because smiles simply to you may just be a smile, but to that person that needed that smile changed their whole, perspective for that day. Could have saved their life, could have changed, you don't know what that means to someone else's lives. And that's why I feel like my job is so important, is because I feel like the more healthy people we have and the more people love themselves, the more love and kindness they can give to other people, and we won't be living in such hatred and such an ugly place like this. I'm scared for my son because I don't know what that's going to look like for him. So all I can do is try to start that solid foundation for him to have a safe home,
Mm-hmm,
because clearly when he walks out my doors, anything can happen. And I
mm-hmm,
just have to, pray to God that he will be safe and he will have the grace. But we don't know. People are angry all day. Somebody can get up on the wrong side of the bed and want to go shoot up the whole school, or who knows. But if these people weren't hurting, they wouldn't hurt others.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. and I think that's good. I was speaking to someone earlier today about we had a Bible study last night about who's your neighbor,
Mm, mm,
who's your neighbor, and
mm.
how do you really facilitate that
Right.
when you come into the knowledge of that everybody's your neighbor,
Yeah.
you know, and so
Yeah.
you should, even if it's not silver and gold that you have, you know,
Anything. Your oil. That your oil. Because he will keep giving you that oil to continue to give it out if that is your thing. So
mm-hmm.
yes, it's not about money. And it's so unfortunate that I feel like our school systems are set up that way. Society is set up that way to make people feel like, oh, you're happy if you're rich. No, that's not it. I can show you 10 rich people that are very miserable in their lives and hate every part of it.
Right. Well, and if you think about the Great Depression, how many millionaires was jumping out the killing themselves because they lost their money,
Exactly.
because that's where their
Exactly.
identity was. And I
Yep.
think that's important too for women to really understand, where is your identity at? What
Mm-hmm.
identifies you? When I ask
Mm-hmm.
you, who are you? And then you start hearing the labels, it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute. You really
Mm-hmm.
don't know who you are. And I remember when God
Mm-hmm.
took me down that path, right before I gave my life to the Lord, it was, I had nice cars, clothes, and it was just, I had to look this certain type of way in order for me to feel good about myself. And so when God started stripping those things away, I felt like I was losing me. And the Lord said, no, I'm getting you to a place where you're going to find out who you really are,
Right.
because
Right.
those things don't make you.
Mm-hmm.
You
And it's
know,
unfortunate because it's something you want to start questioning God, but not really looking to see what the bigger picture is until you're out. The same thing with me. I went through a very tragic situation when my son was born a month before. A job I was at for 10 years let me go, tried to take my insurance away. At this point, I'm having a new birth. That should be something exciting. Now I
hmm
have the stress of life of how am I going to survive? Um, but at the end, it was a lesson for me to know that that was his dream, not mine. And if I stayed there, I would have been helping him to succeed his dreams, and I would let mine go to the waste when he had a path for me. And I have a job that you need to be doing for my people. So I can't have you there. But I, at the moment, was, like you said, devastated. Oh my God, you're turning against me. Where's my blessings?
yeah.
But that was the blessing, to take that away. You will survive. You're going to make it. I never missed a meal. I never not had somewhere to lay my head, but it was hard times, but
hmm
made me a better person and a more mature person to know there will be hard times, but you can face it and you'll get through it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And my daughter, she was diagnosed with cancer when she was 5, and we went
Mm-hmm.
through this whole thing where when she lost her hair, um, talking to her about knowing who she is at the core, and
Mm-hmm.
that hair doesn't make you.
Right.
And a lot of times women think our hair is our crown of glory.
Mm-hmm.
Or realizing that you don't have to cover your face up, because a lot of the children are a lot of times cancer patients, period, wear the hats when they lose their hair,
Mm.
or the scars and things like that. But I took her down a journey where we're not going to cover it up. I want you
Right.
to love you, and I want you to love all
Of
of
it.
you
Mm-hmm.
inside out. And I want you to feel
Mm-hmm.
good about yourself, because there can be a ton of things that happen to us that disfigure us and make us just not be who we used to be.
Right.
But if you don't love yourself, nobody else is going to love you.
You can't even explain to them to tell you how to love you because you don't know how to do it.
hmm
And you can't expect the other person to guess because that's not realistic.
Mm-mm. No, or how to treat you too, because when
Right.
you really don't know who you are, you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
what kind of treatment you really do
Right.
desire in a mate.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
even in friendships, I've seen a lot of women who would just settle for half a friend
Right. Just to
versus
have a friend.
just to have a
Mm-hmm.
friend, so they don't have to be alone, because they don't know who they are. Now, let me ask you this: being a life coach, and when COVID hit,
Mm-hmm.
did you get an influx of more people seeking out your services because now they have to literally sit by themselves?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And like I said, I just feel like for me, a lot of people had a problem with COVID, but for me, I feel like COVID has changed so many things. I don't think people would be going out on their own away from the 9 to 5 because they're afraid of that rat race. I have to make money to live. I have to, it opened this broad spectrum of like, now I can talk to people across the world. Now it's normal to do Zoom calls. Before it'd be like, oh no, that's so impersonal, like, no, that's unprofessional. Now this is my business on Zoom, but I get to touch lives that I would have never had access to prior.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it probably helped a lot more of those who are introverted too.
Yeah.
They probably thrived more in this environment than they have ever in their life. Because now I don't have to go out and interact with people.
Right.
That is so draining.
Yeah, I do. It could be bad. You can make it a bad thing, but you also can see the good things that came from it. It gave people time to spend with their families that people would have never taken this much time off. And I don't care what happened. If the sky was falling, they would have still been at work. So families got to get closer. Some families got to see the reality of it and made decisions to part ways instead of always working and hiding in your work, actually facing that this is a problem and it's not good for us or our kids. And then also it brought families together to spend more time and taking that time and energy and putting it into what matters. Because that job can be gone in a second.
What I really loved about it was that it made people actually sit with themselves. Yeah. So many people don't sit with themselves, and it made them have to face some traumas or some
harsh realities. Yeah.
Yes, and because of that, they had to actually sit and sit in their emotions. So I counsel as well, and a lot of the people that I had started seeing was people who were saying, 10 years ago, this happened to me. And I just immersed myself into my work. Or I just started covering up a church. Or, where they said if I prayed, but, I've been praying for 10 years. And it's like, you got some soul wounds that need to be dealt with. And a lot of it takes more than just prayer.
So that's the thing. So the issue I have with the church is I feel like the message has been changed so many times that it's now what humans made it versus what God wanted it to be intended. So people feel as if they have a relationship with God, it's a burden, or, oh my God, this is way too heavy for me. I can't do this. But that's not how it should have ever been. He understands we're imperfect. He understands we're going to have mistakes. He knows you're going to make a mistake before you make it. So to put these crazy standards on yourself or to always say, yes, pray, he put psychologists, therapists, and now opening up another realm of life coaching here for people to have those ideas to help you. That doesn't mean you don't believe that God can do it through prayer. Yes, he can. But also he's also opening doors and giving you other resources that can help you here on the worldly world versus your spiritual world.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes deliverance comes from talking.
The vessel comes through a human. Absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes people just need to get it out and have a space where they are acknowledged. Your pain is acknowledged. You give people permission to be sad. You can be sad. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right to be angry. It's all right because we were born with these emotions. But because so many times, like you said, church has, you should have gotten over that. Well, how can they get over it when they don't get to talk about it?
Or even feel. Especially for little boys. That's why I'm very, very on top of my son about allowing him to feel whatever you feel. God gave you these emotions for a reason. Just because you're a man or a boy doesn't mean you can't be sad or hurt by something someone said. Or if you stubbed your toe, cry. It's totally fine, But and then we expect them when they get older to be loving husbands, but they were always taught from day one, you don't have feelings, you're tough, and rough,
Yeah.
hush it up, you know? And then the wife is like, okay, do you love me? Can you express that? And they're like, what are you talking about? I don't know how to do that now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's not getting any better because the art of communication has went downhill because you
Yeah.
text people are texting all day,
Yep.
they're typing all day, but having these sit down conversations, they're not having them. So
Because they're on the phone.
Yep. Yep.
You're at dinner and everybody's on the phone.
Yeah. Conflict resolution. People don't know how to resolve conflict anymore.
No.
The easiest way for me to resolve it is to get rid of you. And it's like, wait a minute. So you want to wipe them off the face of the earth now because you can't, because you're so angry and you don't know what to do with your feelings. That's dangerous. And I think as parents, it's so important for us to leave that door open. Like when my children were growing up, I always tell people, my son got the worst of me. I was not a very good parent. I was one that I worked and worked and worked, and my family had him all the time. And so when it came time for me to bring him home, then I was in a relationship, and it was just one thing after another. And so when we got to the place, and I was a single parent, I had to sit my son down. After talking to my pastor and telling him, I said, I don't have this connection with my son like I should. And he said, well, you probably need to go and talk to him and tell him that you apologize. And I thought, I do, because he went through things that he didn't ask for. I put him in those situations. And so, I went through that, and I said, set him down, and I told him, you feel this way, but it's my fault. It's not your fault. And so from that point on, we started having monthly talks. Both my kids, we would sit down at the table and we would discuss. And I would tell them, hey, mommy's not perfect.
Right.
If I've done something to you that has offended or hurt you, let's talk about it now. Tell me. And it took me a while because of the respect thing. But it's raw. It's fine. I'm not going to get angry, but I want to know because we need to learn how to talk about it. And let's get it off my chest. And I think if a lot more parents began to do that, first of all, it will help with their children knowing who they are, because it gives them the confidence to be able to articulate their feelings and to know that they're going to be heard.
Yeah. And it's okay to talk about it. Yeah. But the problem is, some people, the parents, if you ask the parents, they'll think that they did the best job they could have done. I did my best. I gave it my all, and and shut the door. When the reality is, that's fine, but how did the children receive your message or your best?
Because they're little people, and the way that God had, I remember sitting. I used to have my prior home. I had a little area where the sun would always reflect on it, and my meditation time would be spent in this chair. And I remember when God gave me the revelation of being a parent, and it was so scary. Because here you have two humans who have personalities that are different from yours, that have their own dreams, their own visions, and their own path for their life. But yet I'm like, but I had my own path. And the Lord's like, no, they have their own path, and knowing that you have to be a good steward over the gift, over the ministry that God has. And it made me begin to look at every step I took, because children do not do what you tell them. They actually do what they see. And so you can tell them a slew of things. A running joke between me and one of my girlfriends is, we don't remember what our parents tell them until we put them in the ground. Then all of that come back. I said, but we do act out what we saw. So we act out conflict resolution with what we saw inside the home. We act out how to cope with life with what we saw in the home. And that's very dangerous, because again, if we misstep, then that is what we're teaching our children. If we misstep and never come back to correct it, they love. Mommy was out there bugging out. Bugging.
Yeah, and sometimes, like you said, you coming to your kids and just saying, like, I made a mistake, made the difference. Just acknowledging. Just acknowledging that, you know what I was feeling that she did was wrong, and I am validated. It makes them feel good about who they are.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes them be a lot better people, because a person who can admit and go and out in the church, I say admit and repent, is a person's heart who is not hardened and who understands the grace that has been given to them. So they go and they extend the same grace to someone else, even if it means that, hey, let me let you know what you saw me doing, or how I acted, or what I said was not correct. It was unseeming. It was wrong, and I know that it was offensive to you. You didn't have to come to me and ask me about forgiveness. I'm gonna come to you because I know that it was wrong. And so our children learn that, and it just makes them a lot better in life, more mature, and more apt to be able to adapt to the things that are going on in the world and around them.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. And a lot of this starts at home. It starts at home. You set the tone of how confident your children are, how well they can talk, or how well they can perceive their emotions to other people. Because if you shut them down, they're going to be like, if my own mom or dad doesn't want to hear it, nobody does.
Oh yeah, and I think what happens is that parents, I mean, I've been guilty of it myself. My daughter's a chatterbox. Chatter, chatter, chatter. Question, question, questions. Why? Oh, how does this work? Mommy, why did you do this? How is this? And why? And I used to be like, stop it. Just stop. And never realizing that I was shutting her voice, stopping her talking, and taking away her freedom to be able to
express herself.
Yeah. And it wasn't until she was older that I realized that when we were out in public, how I'm like, talk back, but I had set the stage. But if I say this, they're going to tell me, like you tell me, stop talking. And so recognizing these things and being like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. It's the awareness level. Just the awareness of what you can do, because we can't change everybody else, but what we can do is change who we are, how we feel about ourselves, and then that's how we're going to communicate, and how we treat others is the way we feel about ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed that time. Can you please tell people where they can find you, how they can book an appointment with you, and I'm gonna post some links up as well, but I know our listeners would really, really love to book an appointment and just to find out more about you.
Awesome. So the best place to find me would be my website, and that is livingandlovinglife.us. My podcast is on there. You can book your free 30-minute assessment, and any information is right there.
Now, your podcast, is it across all platforms?
Yeah, Apple Music, Spotify, the main ones. Yeah.
Good. Okay. And look, y'all, she said free 30-minute consultation. So that's really good, because a lot of times people aren't wanting to give away nothing for free nowadays.
Well, I want to make sure that we're a good fit, because that's when you get the best work done, and you can really help people, is when they feel comfortable with you. So that's the purpose of that, to make sure that we are a good fit, because I don't take everybody as my client. If I can't help you, there's no need.
Now, do you take on? Are you just are you gender specific, or are you being, Okay.
No. Whoever vibes with me. I mean, I'm one type of tea. Everybody doesn't like my tea, but there are some people that do, and whoever that is, we can, girl or boy, man or woman, I'm open.
Good. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too.
Because I think that learning who you are and having that self-confidence and self-worth about yourself makes life so much easier to cope with. Because if you don't love yourself, truly nobody else is going to love you. If you don't respect yourself, if you don't have that sense of self-worth, nobody else is going to treat you better than you treat yourself.
Exactly.
And a saying that my mother used to always tell me: you teach people how to treat you.
Yep. Very true. Well, I
Yes.
appreciate you and thank you for having me.
You are welcome. You are welcome. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you on next Monday at 10 a.m.